Hey, welcome back to Socialette and welcome to episode 229, the first fresh episode of the new year. And you might have noticed that the podcast has new intro music, which is very exciting because I've had the same intro for the last, since May 2018. And my business has really changed over that time. So I thought, you know what? I'm getting a new website later this month. I should probably do a new podcast intro. So anyway, it's a new year. And if you're anything at all like me, you get really excited about a fresh start. Now, over the Christmas holidays, I read Atomic Habits, which is a fantastic book by James Clear, all about setting habits in your life. And I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Seriously. I read a ton of other books over the break, about 21 of them to be exact. Yep, I know. So I will do an episode very soon on what I learned from those books and my biggest takeaways. Anyway, so after the messy year that 2019 was, I decided I needed to get a little bit more structured and intentional in how I run my business. And I decided I needed to start putting some new habits into place just to ensure that everything runs smoothly and successfully. And, it's a much more successful year than 2019. So this episode, I'm sharing with you 6 of the better business habits that I'm creating in 2020. Now, habit number 1 is a weekly CEO ritual. This is actually something I started doing towards the end of 2019, and it has been such a game changer. Now, each week, what this entails is I sit down and I review the mini goals that I set last week. I review my progress on my overall goals for the year, and then I set some mini goals for the week ahead. Now, these might be goals like record 12 podcasts or finish preparing for my webinar. They're usually pretty chunky tasks that then get broken down into smaller tasks for me to complete during the week. Now, I also review all of my metrics. So things like email list size, website traffic, Facebook ads results, all of those numbers, which means that if there's an unexpected dip or an unexpected spike, I can figure out exactly what caused it while it's still fresh in my mind. And then I take a look at my financials. Now, I don't review my profit and loss every week, but I do look at my cash flow forecast and I update it for the week ahead and the 4 months ahead, just so I don't run out of cash, right? It's nothing fancy. It's just a Google sheet with cash in versus cash out and my bank balances. The second habit that I'm trying to create in 2020 is a weekly content batch day. And this podcast episode is coming to you courtesy of my very first weekly content batch day. Now, one of the things I've really struggled with in 2019 was staying consistent with content creation. I would book calls and meetings and appointments all throughout the week, and then I would try and fit my content creation around this. Now, this year, what I'm doing is I'm scheduling a content batch day every week. I'm blocking that day off on my calendar so nobody can book any calls in, and I'm just getting into creation zone, creation mode. It means putting my phone in another room. It means hiding my inbox. It means drinking a ton of coffee. It's not easy, but it's definitely a lot more efficient than trying to create just one podcast episode at a time or just one Instagram caption at a time. The third habit that I'm creating in 2020 is scheduling content at least a month in advance. In 2019, I felt a lot like I was constantly chasing my tail to try and get content out. I also had a few unexpected curveballs that life threw me, which meant that there were a couple of weeks where I couldn't publish any podcast episodes, I couldn't show up on Instagram, I couldn't email my audience, because I just didn't have any content ready to go. So in 2020, since I'm going to be batching my content each week, I'm also going to be scheduling it in at least a month in advance. That way, even if I have a busy week, I know that you guys will still hear from me. The fourth habit that I'm creating in 2020 is delegating more. Now, this has always been such a tough one for me, but with a ton of travel booked between now and April, I know that I really need to start letting go and delegating a whole lot more. Now, this means making a habit of creating processes and systems for all of the recurring tasks, which I know isn't fun, but it's something that I have to do. And it's really funny because I didn't realize just how many different processes and systems I need to create in my business. Now, the fifth habit that I'm creating is writing my intentions, affirmations, and goals daily. Now, when I sat down at the end of 2019 to set my goals and plan for 2020, I also did a massive journaling session where I asked myself, I said, who do I need to become in order to achieve these goals? From that, I worked out a bunch of different affirmations that I now write out daily. So, for example, one of them is I delegate tasks easily and confidently. That's one of my affirmations. And I also write down a couple of goals for that day. So this is completely separate to my to-do list. These are the goals that I know if I tick these goals off, my day has been a success and I'm moving forward in my business. Habit number 6, always growing my email list. In the past, I've focused mainly on growing my email list in the lead up to launches, but this year I want to get really intentional about how I grow my list in between launches. I know that my email list is where the money is in my business, and for most of you that will be the same for your businesses because I don't know, like for me, certainly one email tends to make a heck of a lot more sales than one Instagram post does. So that's where I'm going to be focusing a whole lot more. Now, those are the 6 habits that I have set to create in my business in 2020. I would love to know, let me know on Instagram, what are your habits that you're creating for 2020? They might be business related, they might be personal ones like going to the gym more because that is an excellent habit to have. So you can find me on Instagram at stephtaylor.co. I love getting messages from you guys. I love it when you take screenshots of the episode you're listening to and share it on your stories. I love just like anything to do with you guys on Instagram. Please, if we're not friends yet over there, remember you can find me at stephtaylor.co. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes released every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave a quick rating and a review in iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Thanks so much for listening. Catch you next time.